people. They, they even got he even cut his hair after my husband, and it also moved. In a white car and suicide. So days before his death, his words were, "He asked me for a regularly accident." I couldn't move because I didn't do the item. So when the house day came up on Teller Drive, I took it. That was August 4th, 2022. I happened to move to house out from the people. My son, best friend, people down the street from a large town, study house in September. In October, they started drugging him. October 7th, they left my daughter for dead, but she still lived. October 15th, they started drugging him. And after October 15th, by November 2nd, he was dead. He was getting threatening phone calls on him. And if he didn't, of course, you know, I was up with this person, Social Security card. And they assumed, and Russell from Southern District assumed that my son had his credentials with him because a person doing suicide is going to keep their credentials on him. But that's not why my son had his credentials on him. He had it on him because he was leaving my house to protect us to go stay somewhere else. So we won't get shot up or killed. But I want y'all to know that. I want y'all to know that I really feel like somebody's related to the police, somebody's friends with the police. It's too close. I just fuck things up, and I definitely feel like I was working back then in 2022. I was not working on Section 8, so I feel like they already checked our background, they already checked to see come up because she has no income. So that I really feel like, you know, I can afford a lawyer. I call lawyers to try to talk to other people. Never told me that the reason why they're not taking my case is because they're friends and colleagues of the lawyer. So one of the ones that wanted. We absolutely appreciate you for sharing your story. Young lady to your left, do you have a story to share? If you want to come down. And everyone, and thank you for allowing me to say three incidents that I want to speak of. Speaks directly to the minds of police. Three incidents. Businesswoman on the corner of Claiborne and Maitland in the area. Right. Also, years. If there's really no criminal activity of myself, when I live as a business owner, as a resident, as a native of Florida, block away from the you would check in on the corner for 30 seconds. Operate a successful business. I would have nothing to face. I literally feel having a call of waiting by literally by no respect, no love. I'm a businesswoman, no love and respect for faith. It's businesses. I'm not in line with criminal activities. I'm literally putting myself. I have more love and respect from the criminals, the dolphins, and I have from the New Orleans Police Department. Now, three incidents quick. Just recently, in the past couple of months, I also am a property owner on the house in 2016 paint is near the old campus back there one day, having not been at the house about a month. And people literally right next door. When I pull up the grader, I see my house has been broken into. Two persons there. young man as a young woman. So when I pull up and I'm like, what is going on? Like, who am I? Who are you guys? When I called the police, I was too busy trying to secure my home, finding out they right next door. Their friends, I guess, called them and said, hey, this house seems to be vacant, nobody's there. Come on and just make yourself at home. Well, but when I did phone the police, I thought it was the 5th district, it was 3rd district. Officer Lane came out. He literally told me he didn't believe me. Every door, front door, security bars on front and back, the doors themselves, they're still to this day broken. You can see the lock on the floor where they busted everything. Storage in the back, furniture. They took my furniture, painted everything. Evidence sitting right there, Lane said, I don't believe it. I was so fearful because they just had the incident where the young man upstate killed the lady when she called the police and shot her out. And I locked the doors and I said, oh, wait, Officer Lane, you make me feel like I'm the criminal. And they're right next door. You see them, they're parade. So, okay, I went and spoke with Commander Bush. He kind of, let me know certain things. But still to this day, nobody has ever gone next door to address these things. My merchandise, my furniture, paintings, everything. They have the door wide open, no office, anything about it. That's one incident. Second incident, I called the police. It was a family incident with my family, my son in particular. I phoned the police. I'm on the phone with 911 from the Weezer exit to Shirley Drive across the river. Next call, police never came on my phone. When I hung up, my father, where he wanted to take me in my vehicle, and he got out. And I'm still on the phone with the 911, and I told him, I said, y'all not worth the crap. Because he had been more violent, or if he really would have given me some bodily harm, that was a lot of time in a clinic exit that there was no presence of police. And so when he got out, I didn't stay, I would stick around. I let the 911 person know that he had to exit the vehicle. And I proceeded to go home to the property. A couple of weeks later, I got to stop a traffic cop. Because my son, hour late. So I'm still trying to figure out. I spoke with Miss Stella. Am I the one who's the victim and call 911 on the phone for several minutes with the police department? You mean I get arrested? And I mean some serious charges and accusations. And I, well, if it's coming from a certain particular district, then I understand why. Because over 30-some years of having to call the police on things, I get no support. There's a detective Greg from the 5th in 2007. Detective Greg came to my in my business, and some person come here to and the food, and he came in me, such a robber, came down and said, listen, I want to know who are you, because you get that access to you, their body. It's just, God, it's so awful. I'm coming up the exam one morning, I'm later right in the back. I'm driving.
No, you could.
She went into the back and I got to see what she heard. She took me and she had some like bleeding on her head. So I'm thinking from that, she began to profane. So I got, meanwhile, I'm kind of around that to deal with some tendons. I got calls for the police department, 5th district, I guess, coming out. So we were getting them out the property. Well, there's an officer, I want to say her name is Karen, at the 50th, she sits in the front. Totally. In the interest of time, I want you to get here as quickly as possible. Yes. This lady ran into the back of me. I called the police. We waited on the police. Came out of the tenant district. He said, go down to the 5th district, let her write up the accident report. The officer had this wrote in the report. She stated, the man didn't say, I bet.
Your YouTube, I should Facebook.
Was turned into my property. She said it's because of an accident on the virus. Then I asked her, Sergeant Robinson, she put on what happened and report when the girl and I, whatever happened on this diary, we blocks away. How can we know? If this is literally a report, I still have the item at the officer room. So I want to address you and this panel and the people to say we have been on their resident in these communities with these systems. We're getting ignored. The young men that's on the street that one make men there to survive this as a business owner, 30 years and addressing the public where I know those things criminal. I fear calling. Thank you so much, Shantae. We want to make certain we get the story spoken about. If it's possible, we can go into details, but the chief of police has to leave in the next 5 minutes. I'm gonna be quick. So. Basically, I don't understand. People try to, during a relationship, the violence that termination with gun. Advocating me for myself and others. Different locations for city council. The sexual limitations. But I kept making noise. All the evidence that I had, audio, very influential. That I was dealing with personally. Cover up or help with trying to cars. So I kept pushing and kept pushing. And other, I submitted the evidence via email. Your statement on how you handle this. Some of the evidence. Back. Stella studies so it's over. And she was not privy. So my company and contacted by First, we're gonna take the evidence provided to the judge. First, other people. So in the interest of time, we're going to pass the mic to the chief of police and give her a moment to address the victims because she has there's an urgent matter that requires her immediate attention.
Good evening, Chief. I'm speaking on behalf of myself, my family. Oh gosh, okay. I'm speaking on behalf of myself, my family, and my minor son. He is a victim of child sexual abuse by his father, which it hasn't been determined that he is his biological father. But I do want to speak and say that I filed my initial report to the Special Victims Unit in the 7th District, and it was reported to Detective Jessica Williams Bolton on July 11th of 23. My son soon, within a month, he was seen at the Child Advocacy Center at the Children's Hospital, and he disclosed that his dad licked not only his penis, but his butt hundreds of times, and it was completely swept under the rug. And not only that my son was not protected by NOPD, but they completely covered up the evidence that was reported from the hospital, and including CPS and in the investigation, they met with my son and disclosed, well, interrogated him the day after his disclosures and told him that this is our little secret and that your mommy talks too much. And fast forward to the police not investigating the matter, my mom, my dad that's in the audience, and also my boyfriend, Reginald Harrison, we have all been charged with simple kidnapping in Orleans Parish Criminal Court. And I had a protective order in place while I was arrested. So each time that I was arrested, NOPD was involved with retaliation, protecting the perpetrator and not my child. And I'm speaking on behalf of today that we not only have to protect the community, but we have to protect the innocent, which is my child. And Drew has now been with his abuser, his alleged abuser, for over a year, and I have had no contact with my baby. I just want justice. I'm so tired. I just want the community to just protect our baby. Wow. My baby is in Texas. He had terminated my parental rights and said that I have abandoned my baby when I have only been the most protective mother in the world. And this man has a past criminal history of abuse against a minor, molestation. And all I want is just justice, Chief. And I know that, there's an investigation that is currently open. And I just hope that the people that's in charge actually stop protecting criminals and protect the innocent. And, I'm speaking on behalf of the community. We want an investigation into the special victim.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
I just want to say, we know we wanted to cut your story, but you have to go, Chief. You may not know you have to go, but you have to go. It's urgent. So we're going to continue our conversation with the independent police monitor, but the chief of police has to go. You want to picture here? Thank you for sharing. But now you know some of the technical on what I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Do you want to continue addressing the issues and concerns of the panel, or do you want to turn back to the questions that's totally up to you?
Whatever y'all want. Whatever y'all-
It's up to you. I don't want the audience to question the victims, but you can add your perspective as an independent police monitor.
I'll add some perspective. I mean, I've talked to all of the women on the stage, and I can say that, for some of their matters, our office is going to be conducting case reviews into the misconduct investigations that were already conducted into the allegations that they raised. We're going to be providing recommendations. Some of these issues are things where we think that their individual case needs to be addressed and possibly a different outcome needs to be considered. With some of them, it's areas where we think there 100% needs to be a policy shift or that practice within abiding by, or we want to see retraining or we want to see accountability from those officers who deviated from what was expected of them. All of these issues bring up different concerns. I think like at the end of the day, all four of y'all were the ones who called the police. All four of you were the ones who questioned them for calling.
Right.
Or in some cases, well, not everyone on this calling wasn't, but or yeah, okay, we weren't. But yes, but we're charged or we're questioned like as if you did something wrong. So we're working with, I believe, almost everyone here on next steps and ensuring that the things that we've already put in place are going to be executed on it. For the case of the individuals where some things have already been corrected. I don't know, is there specific questions about that? Tony?
But so one of the issues with the NOPD now is that there's no plan in place for civilian oversight. They have the plan for the police community advisory board, which is completely under the New Orleans Police Department. So now going forward, if we're talking about sustainment in the future of the NOPD, the huge question is around the Public Integrity Bureau, which I submitted a question, but the Public Integrity Bureau has legally last year, they went through a whole court hearing and dispute being in violation with the consent decree, of having corruption in the PIB. And the Public Integrity Bureau is supposed to be the department that investigates these complaints against these officers. But when you have a Public Integrity Bureau that's corrupt, that is proven to have to be on a basis of who knows who in relationships, then what kind of justice can we give victims like these who are facing issues with, you know, their case being perhaps some kind of conflict of interest with the police department? And so I guess I'm just like, I want to hear more about like, you know, what's going on with the PIB so that people can know like how they were in violation of the consent decree. And, you know, there's a remedial action plan around that. What was that supposed to resolve, and how was civilian oversight going to be going forward? PTABs. And so mostly worried about the PIB and what they are have been charged with, basically with the court being out of consent decree, and you know what's left for civilians.
So for anyone who couldn't hear that, the questions were what's going to happen with PIB, what's going on with PIB being in violation of the consent decree, which they were found to be in violation of the consent decree for multiple reasons. This time last year, they're under a remedial action plan. What's going to happen when they enter sustainment? Why are they entering sustainment if they're under a remedial action plan?
Right.
And what does this mean about civilians and how you can infer accountability moving forward? We shouldn't have to have a forum like this every single time there's a problem, because basically no one's listening until we do a forum. It's frustrating, and I hear that. I hear that not just from the people in the room today, but I hear it all the time whenever I'm working with individuals who are telling me about their experiences in reporting misconduct or reporting crime and not having it taken seriously. So yes, PIB is still under a remedial action plan. Yes, it will be brought into sustainment with the rest of the department. So they are moving out of active oversight. We will be the ones that will be doing the audit check on PIB moving forward.
One of the reasons why they were in violation had to do with classification of complaints and allegations that they were receiving, specifically that they were not raising an allegation. They weren't raising an offense every single time an allegation was made. So a very rough example of that would be the officer like used a slur against me. The officer rolled his eyes when he was talking to me. The officer refused to write down any information that I gave. The officer didn't photograph any of my injuries. It was just so rude and unprofessional. I can't believe I was treated this way. So I just counted off on my fingers all the different allegations that could be raised. Instead, what would be raised was, person says this was unprofessional. And then they would say, okay, that's professionalism. And what's missing are a lot of things underneath that. So recently we partnered with, at the time it was the Innocence Project, now it's Eye on Surveillance, and we assisted with how they looked at a series of reports around domestic violence and how they were classified by the Public Integrity Bureau. And what we were seeing was a potentially alarming rate of misclassification. So we are still concerned about the way that the Public Integrity Bureau is receiving information and then classifying the information that they receive. Now, this is still going to be a big component of how they're going to be audited moving forward. It's something we're going to be looking at moving forward. So all I can say is it's a work in progress and it's still going to continue. Now, going back to Tony's question, well, where does that leave us? That's just one example of potential non-compliance with the Public Integrity Bureau. There were other examples, like failing to notify complainants that the case was open, failing to notify complainants when a case was closed and what the outcome was, failing to interview the complainant. And by complainant, I mean the person that is raising the accusation of misconduct, timeline violations, and then not considering all available evidence, not considering circumstantial evidence. So we're going to be working with PIB on all of those matters. When we're doing those audit checks moving forward, we're going to be working very closely with professional standards and accountability to ensure that all of these things are checked. And we're going to be trying to take on a full universe audit of all of these that are getting classified by the Public Integrity Bureau moving forward. So going back, where does that leave civilians? So yes, technically your outlet is the Police Community Advisory Board. Now, under the current sustainment strategy, which is still open for comment, I highly recommend that you put in your request. Technically, the Police Community Advisory Boards will have 2 seats on the Training Advisory Committee. And right now, that's the only envisioned engagement that they're going to have. If you would like to see the Police Community Advisory Boards have a larger role in the Public Integrity Bureau, which I really truly hope you do, then now is the time to be able to put in those requests. I mean, I think that a big area that we keep hearing repeated over and over and over again is the idea that, like, sure, the police don't always get it right the first time, but then when you bring that to their attention through a misconduct allegation, they're not getting it right the second time. And that's a concerning thing. That's a moment where the Police Community Advisory Boards could have a larger role. And so maybe that is like, you know, an advisory seat on the Serious Misconduct Advisory Committee that looks at any time that NOPD might have potentially dropped the ball with these cases of serious misconduct. Or maybe that means having a seat on the Policy Advisory Committee. Or maybe that simply means ensuring that the Public Integrity Bureau has an assigned liaison to all the Police Community Advisory Boards and provides them specialized input opportunities and feedback opportunities. Instead of just only having a relationship with the district, right now is what is vision. They only have a relationship with their district.
Thank you, Stella. We have a few questions from the audience, and I want to make sure that get to them. And we can go back to you guys. But at a public meeting held by the consent decree monitor, Dr. Ashley Burns, a member of the monitoring team, accused deputy director of a deputy monitoring team of having a great conflict. Is this conflict of interest being investigated? Who is responsible for reporting it? Who is responsible for fixing it? And does it put the sustaining plan in jeopardy?
A conflict of interest, I believe, can only be raised by a party of the consent decree. So in this case, it would have to be raised by either the city of New Orleans or the Department of Justice. A conflict of interest would then be reviewed by the finder of fact. It would be the court, so Judge Morgan. I don't believe that you would do an investigation prior to that. I believe that the proper procedure is to raise it, have the court then ask for a conflict check. I'm not sure how a conflict check would be conducted in this situation, but in theory, it would be done by a third neutral party. And then the court would be able to decide. Not all conflicts result in a removal of a monitor. It might just result in like required disclosures, required conflict waivers. So I can't say for certain what impact any potential finding of a conflict would have on things. But I think in the court of public opinion is proven to be very significant.
Thank you. How can the NOPD get out of the consent decree when the second in command was involved in an incident where Black RTA workers were beaten and there was also a gun planted and the second in command was involved in that incident as well?
I believe this incident in question occurred before the consent decree. That's not to mean like anything other than simply it happened before the consent decree. And if it's still relevant to the culture of leadership in the NOPD, then that's really something that the community is going to have to push, because it's not something that is really a component of the consent decree right now, or a component. It's not a factor that the parties of the consent decree are currently discussing, so it's one that would really be relevant for the community. And again, I would say that maybe that's an area where a community demand comes in, like asking that all of the NOPD leadership be required to go through some undoing racism training, like they do the People's Institute or some other like highly credentialed undoing racism program or something like that, kind of as a sign of showing an investment or awareness of racial inequalities that existed prior to the consent decree would be their position on that.
So these two questions are similar, so I'm going to combine them. One says, Vice President of the PCA 6 district, it is extremely frustrating not having any real power or even a voice. Has the independent monitor's office further looked into this, and if so, how? And the other part of it says, the sustainment plan says that the city and NOPD will respect the independence of the PCABs, but they have absolutely none. Why are the PCABs completely under the police they are supposed to overlook? This is very plainly a conflict. It's a conflict. So that's what they want you to address. There's the PCAB, but they feel powerless, and then they're under the same people they're supposed to be experiencing the oversight and accountability for.
Yeah, the OIPM has received that feedback for years now, and I don't believe we're the only ones. I believe that the federal monitors have received that feedback for years. I don't believe that they've documented it as clearly as they could have in all of their reports. There was a huge gap in them even addressing the police community advisory boards, which are the PCAB, otherwise known as PCAB. And they only recently addressed it in their report in March of this year and said, you know, we believe there's been years of non-compliance. And they kind of pointed to a couple different factors for why that is, but they have not put forth any requirement around a corrective action strategy, a remedial action strategy. And now there's a proposed plan. But that proposed plan, and in this current iteration, doesn't even have a for the police community advisory board membership to even be able to weigh in on the next iteration of the police community advisory board. So again, I'll say this is open for comment. These are very important issues. Please bring them up and say, this is what I would like to see. They need to have a larger voice. They need to be independent. They like put in your ask about where you would like to see them in the city format. The OIPM has put forward a proposal about where we would like to see the police community advisory boards and how we would like to see them operate. That was not accepted. Chief Kirkpatrick has said very publicly at our last couple public forums that she backed that plan, that strategy. So did the Police Association of New Orleans. But that strategy was not put in place. So
It's someone in the office, but usually at a PCAB meeting with all this. It's what it is, it's big hands of the city. That's not how it's done, right? So now how is it big and big? How is it, all of this? We're going to get out of the city, so our PCAB. None of this is working. Everyone take care. Now, as vice president of PCAB 6th district, on in the hood, they got this right, this is back to people, they like, wait, we can't, like the Patrick said at the meeting a few months ago, there's nothing they can do, so why the PCAB even exist? We can't help our community. So to that point, Stella, that's also the concern of the first district.
Yeah.
They're asking about community engagement plans because recent plans by NOPD continue to exclude communities. So this seems like an issue that is across districts.
100% is. I hear this all the time from almost every PCAB that is interested in providing critical assessments and feedback of the NOPD. I don't hear it from PCABs that are operating kind of like booster clubs for the NOPD. But
It's not any of the PCAB that's operating.
Right.
PCAB, we aren't operating
at all. Right.
NOPD, so I'm asking if you or somebody say, hey, Mayor, say NOPD, say Chief, this isn't working. I mean, y'all try, but you keep meeting and keep trying, not working.
I'm not, we created a comprehensive proposal that would have had PCAB sitting on disciplinary hearings, sitting on use of force.
Oh, no, we want to be very respectful of time. We want to make certain that you ask the question, give someone an opportunity to answer the question. If you have another comment, bring it to the mic, I'm going to ask it. But we want to make certain it's ordered, that you have an opportunity to address the issue.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be defensive. I hear you, I share your,
He's trying to say that.
no, I completely agree. I'm completely frustrated. We did a conference, we got the Police Association of New Orleans, we got the Fraternal Order of Police, they all, Black Organization of Police, everyone agreed. They all agreed to the community having a larger role in these rooms that they've never been in before. They all agreed to the community, to the Police Community Advisory Board, having more support, administrative support, websites, screening of meetings, social media presence, the whole proposal, it was denied. Chief Kirkpatrick is not the obstacle, the police department is not the.
Yeah. Step down.
Hold on a minute. I'm going to reiterate this one more time. We're going to ask the question orderly. We're going to give the independent police monitor an opportunity to answer it. If you have further commentary, come to the microphone. She can't hear you if 3 or 4 people are yelling at the same time. It's an important issue and we want concise answers, but we won't get them if we continue to shout all at one time. So clarify what you were saying one last time.
The whole audience said, who's shutting down?
Okay, go ahead.
I think it's gonna.
At this time, the mayor is not interested in pursuing that.
So here, we have another question or comment on the floor.
Thank you, Dr. Meyer. Hi, Stella. Sorry, I'm so late. So, backing up what Rajesh is saying, y'all know the work we've been putting in. I was just absolutely devalued and flabbergasted when the police put their plan, their so-called plan out. And I get what you're saying, Stella. I appreciate all the work that you've done. The plan you did was fantastic. That you went and got Pano and Fraternal Order of Police all, and even Kirkpatrick to support it. But the police are actually tone deaf. I have been begging them to at least communicate with PCABs, put us in the loop, put us on our email loop. Because we didn't even know about police community meetings. We had to go dig that out. So this plan that they put up is not a plan. It was not created with PCABs or community involved, and it is not viable. Our next meeting, First District PCAB, December 16th, we are inviting everyone to come out and we're going to create our plan. And we're going to put that forward with Stella's influence and what the work they've done. Thank you.
this was going to be my follow-up, comment to Stella. Is there a way, to have each of the districts put their, concerns or complaints or issues in one document that you then bring to the mayor to have a meeting with the head of the PCAPs from each district, yourself, Chief Kirkpatrick, and the mayor? Because if the mayor is the obstacle, you can't fix it. It's not going to be fixed in this meeting because she's not here. Is that a viable way to attack this issue?
I think right now, because this plan is open for comment, I would highly recommend that everyone submit their ask to the planning and policy committee that's going to be responsible for reimagining the PCABs. The PCABs exist under the mayor's community engagement department, and they will consider it. But at this point, my office does not have a clear position with the PCABs, and I need to be respectful of that reality. So I want to be a part of it, as in I can be a partner or a resource, but I'm not on that planning committee. I don't have a seat on that planning committee. I will be submitting my own public comment to those planners for them to consider, the same way I'm advising that everybody else do the same. Because this, unfortunately, it falls into a different category of work, and I want to ensure that I respect the leadership of that category.
One last question, because you have district leadership from the PCABs in the room, is there a meeting that is on the books currently, or is there a space where these issues from the leadership of the PCABs can address their concerns directly to the mayor?
Not to my knowledge right now, but I will formally ask that a public forum be held on the PCAB plan. I know that Deputy Chief Gernon will probably be the one to lead it, and we will ask that NOPD extend that invite to the mayor's office.
Thank you. So I know there were some questions or concerns that some of the victims on the panel had. I'm going to turn it over to them for the last few minutes before we close. And do not forget, there's some delicious red beans and rice and chicken over there, and some goodies if you want some. But I said you have the floor.
I just wanted to add a comment regarding, so, uh, where they're implementing laws or pushing for new laws on the books every year. And while police officers enforce law, a lot of times I feel like there's so many different changes that they're not clearly what the law and how to even address a crime that happened where they may not have it, never had to deal with that before. So I think, you know, I'm not, every agency has like a special counsel, legal department. I just think some education and laws, on how to enforce the law, and hold people accountable and break the law are very important.
Thank you.
I just want to leave with two viewpoints. One, we're here. Oh, I don't know what was the emergency, but I really wish Patrick could have stayed.
She did, it was a real emergency about the last shooting in the city, so that's why she had to leave.
Want to respect?
No, I'm just clarifying it for you. This is not a battle, I'm just clarifying it
I
for
would
you.
have rather for her to have been able to address. We don't want to just come in these meetings and just speak and be heard. No, that's not what we're here for. Right. I didn't get out and come out in the rain, in the storm to be heard. I don't need to be heard. We have serious issues that need to be addressed. That same corner, that same fifth district, when there was heavy police corruption in the late 80s and early 90s, the police department, the mayor, and everybody, they cleaned house. When the police was being evil towards drug dealers and criminals. Now we are civilians, taxpaying business owner, working community citizens, and you mean to tell me we can't get this cleaned up where we have professionals, courteous, police officers with the mindset and a heart to say, we're gonna serve and protect. What happens to that? I just want to leave you. Thank you.
Do you have any last commentary? We have 1 minute left. Ma'am, Ms. Hope, you wanted to say
I
something?
just wanted to say that I called Stella district like a couple of weeks ago. And I feel like when I called, they only talked to me to find out how much information I know about my son and everything. And the words he left me with was, the case is gonna stay closed. And nothing's gonna happen with my son. I'll always be suicide for Stella district. And again, my son wasn't suicidal.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. At this time, I want to thank the panel for being here with us. You want? Okay.
Dr. Roger, Dr. Roger, if like, when the chief said, "Dr. Go, Steve, let's go." She didn't have to come, but she took the time out to come here because Louis asked her, and she said yes. Now she was here, but there was an emergency earlier. So we respect everybody. This mic is open for everybody. We don't respect everybody that comes here. And then cool down my. That's all you want to get a place to go?
So we want to thank our panel. We want to thank Ms. Stella for coming and sharing your expertise and your time with us. We want to thank Chief Kirkpatrick and members of NOPD who were here, and especially to the victims who were brave enough to come and publicly share their story. So I'm hoping for some resolution for each of you. We want to also thank the New Orleans United Front for putting these monthly meetings on every single month. Please make certain that you take time out in your schedule to come. There's always some informative information being given out. And if you have an issue that you think that the New Orleans United Front needs to convene a forum for, please speak to anyone in the New Orleans United Front. Sure, they can get you put on the books, and maybe we can bring someone from leadership to address those issues for you. So thank you. Have a wonderful night.
One, two, one, two, one, two.